Okay, guys, so this is preparing for our review on volume of cylinders first. Remember, for these guys, this question is asking us to compare which has the larger volume. Remember, to do that, we want to use the formula of volume is equal to base area times height. Remember that the base area is pi times r squared. So that's 3 squared, or 3 times 3 times pi, and that's going to give us 9 pi units squared. And we said that volume is equal to base area, which we said was 9 pi units squared, times the height, which is times 4. So I have 9 pi times 4, which is going to give me 36 pi units cubed. Okay, if I was going to do this one, again, I'm doing base area times height. The base area is 2 squared, or 4 times pi, so 4 pi. And I'm going to go 4 pi times 9, which will give me 36 pi units cubed. Oh my gosh, look at that. They are equal. So neither one. Which cylinder has the largest volume? Joke's on you, it's neither. Great, next one. I'm going to find the volume. I'm going to write, I guess I'm supposed to multiply this out with a decimal. But here we go. Area of the circle is pi r squared, but I don't have a radius, I have a diameter, so I got to cut it in half, and so my radius is 6. So I say 6 squared is 36 pi, and base area times height, so 36 pi times my height of 5, which is going to give me 180 pi centimeters cubed. Always put your units, all right? And if you had to put it to the nearest tenth, you would multiply pi times 180, and you'd have that answer. Similar, if I was going to do this one, I'm going to find the area of the circle, which is 4 squared, or 16 pi inches squared, and then we're going to multiply by our height, which is 10. So I'll be going 16 pi times 10, which is 160 pi inches cubed. Look at me writing my units. Oh my gosh, it's almost like that's important. All right, so in this one, it's a little sneaky. We're going to solve the height. So we first start off with, we know that volume is equal to base area times height. The volume, 502, is going to be equal to base area times height. So my base area is 4 squared, or 16 pi, and it's going to be times the height. But I don't know what the height is, so I got to work backwards. I'm going to say my height is the volume, which was 502, divided by the base area, which we said was 16 pi. All right. When I find out what 16 pi is, I then go 502 divided by that number, and that gives me something like 9.99 feet, or 9.98 with a longer decimal. And since we're rounding to the nearest tenth, I got 10 feet. Great, next one. I have this one. Again, I'm trying to find the height. Now, the funky thing here is that cones have it's 1/3 of base times height. So first I find the base area, which is pi r squared. All right, so 5 times 5 is 25 pi. And so I know that the volume, they're telling me, is 79. So 79 is equal to 1/3 times 25 pi times height. I don't know the height. So to isolate this, I then multiply 25 by 3, 1/3, or I divide 25 by 3, which gives me 8.3 non-terminating, or 8 1/3 pi. And so to solve for the height, I isolate it, okay, which I do the opposite of multiplying times the height. I'll divide this out. And so I divide 8.3 pi from 79, which gives me something approximate to 3. Saw some people working in class, and you got something around the 29s. The mistake there was that we did 79 divided by 8.3 and then multiplied that final answer by pi. That was a mistake because we're trying to divide by pi as well. So the answer is not 29.9 something. It's approximately 3 inches. Okay, this one here, find the volume of the cone. We know the volume is equal to 1/3 base times height, base area times height. So my base area is 4 squared, which is 16, and then times pi, which is pi. My height is 8 and 1/3 because it's a cone. So I go 16 times 8, which is 128 pi. I divide by 3, and that's going to give me something like 42 and 2/3, or 42.666666666666666 pi meters cubed. Oh, I should put those units on. That's super important. All right. This one I did on a separate page. So, and it's upside down. This one I worked through. So again, base area times height. So pi r squared. So it's going to be 6 squared, which is going to be 36. We know it's a cone, so it's 1/3 pi r squared times the height. My height is 7. And so I've got 36. I'm going to find 1/3 of 36 because that's what we do for volume of cones. and a third of 36 is 12, and I'm looking at 12 pi times the height, 7, and that's going to give me 84 pi inches cubed, and yeah, that's how that works. All right, I was going to work on this one on the back. They say, hey, find the missing dimensions of the cone. I'm trying to find the height of this cone, and I'm going to answer to the nearest whole number. My volume is 300 pi. Booyah! And then I know that 300 pi is equal to 1/3 base area times height. And so I'm going to plug in for my radius. It's 12. 12 squared is 144. I don't know my height, so I'm going to find a third of 144 pi, which is 48 pi times height. And then to isolate h, I have to divide both sides by 48 pi. Pi and pi cancel out. And then 300 divided by 48 is 6.25, or 6 1/4 millimeters. Put your units is equal to your height. Cool. Skipping down to number 8. Volume of spheres. The formula is V is equal to 4/3 times pi times the radius cubed. So you just plug and chug. I replace R with 5 and I go, hey, what's 5 times 5 times 5? It's 125. 125. And then I multiply 125 times 4, which gives me 500 divided by 3. That's still here. So I'm looking at 500 pi divided by 3. And if I work this out, I get 500 times pi gives me approximately 1,570.8 divided by 3. And that would, when I simplify that, is going to give me a decimal, well, a number that's really close to, because we're rounding to the nearest whole number, 524 millimeters cubed. Hey, look at that. That's millimeters, so I'm going to put millimeters cubed. Very last one on this video that's now too long is that if you have a radius of 14, then I'm going to plug in 14. Remember, what does that mean? That means I got 3 14s multiplying. 14 times 14 times 14. Everybody knows they're 14s. It's going to be 2,744. And because we're multiplying by 4/3, that means I'm multiplying by 4, dividing by 3. So 4 times 2,744, everybody knows they're 2,744s. So that is 10,976 pi divided by 3. And then when I divide that out, so sorry, once you multiply 10,000 blah, blah, blah times pi, okay, and then divide by 3, you end up with a final answer of 11,494 cubic centimeters, or centimeters cubed. All right, these other ones, for example, 6 and 7, they involve finding radius or finding radius on number 9. I didn't go over those because we haven't reviewed using square roots and cubic roots. So that's coming up soon, but because that's not there yet, I didn't review that because that'll just frustrate you. Anyway, I wish you an amazing day and best of luck. All right, peace.